is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 81 of Big Beard and Friends. But before I start the show, I want to go ahead and tell anybody who's watching, if you're going through something and you don't know if you're going to be okay, you're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Everything's going to work out and pan out the way it's supposed to be. And I hope that you understand that. It will get better. Let's move right along here, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about, in episode 81, I'm going to talk about travesty, trajectory, and tragedy. Yes, I'm going to try to cover some of these things and see what happens. Let's move right along here. Travesty. It's a noun. It's a false, absurd, or distorted representation of something. The meaning, it gets thrown around a lot. Some people want to say travesty is a tragedy and tragedy is travesty. And there are things. It can be a verb. It can represent, and it's to be represented in a false or distorted way. So, but see, tragedy is like, we'll talk about that in a moment, but travesty is often confused with that. One of my friends earlier this week was sitting there telling me, well, you better have examples of these things. You better understand what you're talking about if you're doing this. I'm like, dude, I'm doing my research. I'm looking up my notes. I'm done this now, recording about 5 times, because we just couldn't get things right earlier. Excuse me. So I told him, I said, I have the perfect example. Travesty is Romeo and Juliet, William Shakespeare. Come on. The definition of travesty is actually to imitate an imitation that is grossly incorrect. An example of travesty is one of that of Romeo and Juliet. An exaggerated or grotesque imitation. Okay, yeah, makes it seem meaningless, such as a parody or a literal word. All right, I get it. Travesty. It can be a travesty when friends stop talking. That's a misrepresentation of the situation in hand. That's another one. Let's move right along to trajectory. Now, when I say trajectory, you have to understand that it is a projected beeline path. No matter what, that trajectory of whatever it may be is there. It's destined. It's there. I want to talk about trajectory in the personal sense, like personal trajectory. You got to understand that trajectory comes from trajectoria. If I'm saying that right, trajectoria. I think that's Latin, and it means to throw across. You know, trans is across, and the jet comes to be throw. So to traject. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. I think that personal trajectory is very important. That beeline path that you know you're going to travel, you don't need to let friends interfere with that. And if friends don't understand, or whatever the case may be, I'm sorry for that. Some people sometimes don't understand other people's. But there are times where our personal trajectory needs to change. And I come up with this little list, little things, that between my research and I've drawn from some personal experiences, and I've added some of these things in there. But one way, or a few ways, to tell, once again, I'm nobody, it's just my opinion. Some of the ways to tell that if you need to change your path is that you trust everyone more than you trust yourself. I think people have issues with that. I think there's people who don't get that. You have to trust yourself. You have to understand who you are. No matter what he or she or it or that or person says, it doesn't matter. Some people, okay, here's another one that's kind of personal, and it kind of leads into this, is you think discovering your life path means that you have to stay on that path. I know people that are that may be nurses, that may be doctors, and they may be lawyers, and they think that I have to do this forever because this is what I've done. Look into yourself, do what you got to do. We don't evolve or just grow once. We go through different levels, we do. I'll talk about that later, but some things just stay on my mind and irk me, so I don't always, you see, I don't know. I'm just telling you, if you feel like you're content or comfortable with how things are going and you're not seeing growth or forward, you may be just wrong on the life path. You may be wrong on it. You may be on the wrong one. I'm just saying. One of the other ones is like, and this is the one I've struggled with a lot. You can see I struggle with these talking about it. Is you compare yourself to others. If you're happy with your life and your successes, you don't need to compare yourself to others. That's how it is. Or anything else, or whatever's going on. Once again, these might be my opinions. If you're always asking yourself, why me? Why me? When I finally get a break, when is it going to happen? When isn't it working? Why isn't this going on? Why me? Just saying. Some of these questions, one of my friends had asked me, told me, he said, asking questions, Big Beard, it's easy at times. You make it seem easy, but asking the right questions, what I told him is the key. Asking the right questions. All of that will fill up with your alignment and your purpose, and it'll go. I promise you. That's what I told him. I want to keep going more on that, but I'm not going to keep on because he don't even know I'm saying this. He knows who he is now. You're repeating, here's a good one, affirmations that you really don't believe. You might mean it because you read it or whatever, but you really don't believe in that. We can't simply live faking, things or saying something's going to happen when it's just not. But people do that a lot. Don't do it. It's delusional. It really is. You're manifesting things that are not. They're just not. That's not it. Your burnout. That can be a thing that tells you have to, and it's all right. Your personal trajectory, it's all right to be burnt out. It's one of those things that if you're passionate about it, you have trouble defining or can't tell anybody. That's kind of the other one. If you have trouble describing your passion. In other words, if you can't really get on the right path till you know where you want to go. I'm just saying. Friends don't need to interfere with that either. You wake up each morning and you dread the day. You still do it. Once again, these are just things from personal experience. Maybe it's the right career, but it's the wrong place. Even a simple change of scenery can put you in a different path. It can. It's true. Some people don't understand. One that I've dealt with before, you got fired. Oh, man, it sucks. But view that as a gift. You see what I'm saying? It'll put you where it should be. Moving on, though, we'll talk about tragedy. It's a noun. It's an event. It's to cause great suffering and destruction, distress. What is that? Serious accident, serious crime. Usually it's like a natural catastrophe. Like it's a tragedy that killed 95,000 people or whatever. That's just one. It can also be a play dealing with tragic events when it comes to the poetic. Tragedy, however, is a drama based on human suffering, believe it or not. It's mainly the terrible events and sorrowful events that happened. And people, people don't get it, they get it confused. That's what I was trying to talk about earlier. You're kind of like travesty and tragedy. People are trying their best. They don't understand sometimes, but we as people, as society, we should understand what the tragedy means. It's not necessarily, that It's what we say today that is a tragic event. That's what I'm saying. It's a pain and it awakens pleasure. It's a catharsis. It's for the audience. One of my buddies again told me, he goes, "Well, isn't that the same thing as Romeo and Juliet?" Yeah, it is. It is actually almost the same dang thing. It's a tragedy. It's set up. It is. It's sad. Tragedy. Romeo and Juliet. Kills. Love story. I'm not going to ruin it for people. If you've never seen Romeo and Juliet or don't know the story, I'm not going to do that. It's the kind of story that deals with unhappy endings, okay? And events. But you need to do it. Like I said, in the poetics, it's very cool. It's very cool that tragedy. If you've been in theater, I say poetics. If you've been in theater, if you know any theater, people know of things like that. It's very cool. Although it's used, like I said, to describe like disaster and misfortune, loosely it is. It actually precisely, I'm being real here, refers more to a work of art that probes with like this high seriousness. And people think, wow, you don't think tragedy, you don't necessarily think those things. But it's true. It is very true. Tragedy. It's a tragedy when friends don't talk. I think I've said that. Just saying. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. The Greeks of Attica, the ancient state where this chief city Athens was. You guys know of Athens, right? It was first used, the word it was first used, that word, I think it was around the 5th century. If I'm doing the research here, BCE, whatever they do, it was presented in festivals in Greece, sponsored by local governments and their community. People liked it. They loved to watch certain things. They loved tragedies so much up on stage they'd even pay small fees, which later became theater. They looked a whole nother side. They were so powerful in achievements that the greatest, there were so many greats in their times that they thought put on these tragedies and did these tragedies and told these stories. It's proved viable through 25 centuries, tragedies have. I'm just saying. I feel like I'm babbling, but it's tragedies is not always what we've known about. It's a tragedy for this. It's a tragedy that what he'd done to the civil courts. It's a tragedy what she's done to the family. And okay, it's all right. It's okay. I get it. But it does get applied to literary works and novels and, like I said, theater. It's not necessarily. It's a bunch of drama that just treats stuff in a serious, dignified style. Okay, that's what it is. It's tragedies for lots of things going on. All right, guys, it is starting to rain here. I have already shot this show 6 times, and nothing has worked right. I'm doing it right now, and I'm hoping this works right. So I'm gonna keep all this in there. It's been a long week, and wow. Starting to rain here. It's going to interfere with some of these things. So I hope you guys have tuned in today. Even some of the friends that might not talk anymore to people understand that people don't hate people. Things happen. We love you, and we'll always love you. Guys, what are the 3 words that I say that ain't in the show? Love, peace, chicken grease. Later, guys.
Big Beard. Presentation.